The following image is a graph of a sine function. Use the graph to determine the amplitude, period, phase shift, and vertical shift of the function. Well, let's start with the vertical shift because that's the easiest. Look for the midline. Alright, the midline seems to be right here. Okay, this is indirectly going to give me the amplitude as well. Alright, because I know this is the midline because from here the graph goes up 4 and it goes down 4. So that tells me that the amplitude is 4. Okay, the vertical shift since the midline is here at -3, that means that the vertical shift is down 3. Okay, or -3. All right. Now let's talk about the period. Okay, let's turn our attention to the period next. First of all, notice the scale of the graph. All right, I see that this is 6.28. That's because you know that pi is approximately 3.14. So 2 pi would be approximately 6.28. So that's what they're reflecting here, that the scale of the graph is that from 0 to the edge of the graph is 2 pi. Okay, which means that the entire graph, right, if I had a function that went from one side to the other, that would actually be 4 pi. Now, just keep that in mind. The graph, one cycle, one full period of this function is kind of going off the edge of the graph, so it's making it hard to see. Normally I like to just measure from beginning to end, like here and whatever this is, but it's a little bit off the graph. So if I want to be really precise about it, what I might do is look at half of the period. So from here to here, okay, this portion of the graph right here is exactly half of the period. So whatever this distance is, that if I just double it, that should be the period. Now if I count the squares, this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 8 little squares. Now if I count the squares, you know, just on the graph itself, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 squares is 2 pi. Okay, so that means these 8 squares right here will also be 2 pi. That means that the entire graph, if I look at a full period, okay, this must be another 2 pi over here. So the period must be a total of 4 pi. Okay, so the period is 4 pi. Now the phase shift is the trickiest because the phase shift depends on how you look at it, and there's more than one right answer. So let's see how far we've narrowed it down without using the phase shift. So amplitude 4, vertical shift -3, period 4 pi. Okay, period 2 pi, no. Period 8 pi, no. Okay, now, so it's down to these two. The amplitude is not 6. Alright, so that just leaves this. Amplitude 4, period 4 pi, vertical shift -3. Alright, so we were able to narrow it all the way down to the final answer without using the phase shift. Alright, but let's check the official answer just to make sure that we're good. And we are. So I would always leave phase shift for last because there's more than one way to calculate the phase shift. There's more than one right answer, so I try to avoid it unless I absolutely have to use it.